In the sweltering heat of a forgotten quarry on the outskirts of a bustling medieval town, where the earth cracked like old leather under the relentless sun, lived a man named Elias. He was no stranger to toil. His hands, calloused and etched with the scars of endless labor, had clawed at the soil for decades. Elias dug not for gold or glory, but for the humble clay that lined the bellies of kilns, turning into bricks for the town's ever-expanding walls. It was a life of quiet desperation, where each shovelful promised just enough to stave off hunger, but never enough to dream. One fateful afternoon, as the sun dipped toward the horizon like a weary traveler, Elias struck something unyielding beneath the dirt. His spade clanged against it, a dull, resonant thud that echoed through the empty pit. Cursing the stubborn rock that dared interrupt his rhythm, he knelt and brushed away the caked earth. What emerged was no ordinary stone. It was a gem, vast and multifaceted, catching the dying light in a prism of fire. Blues and greens danced across its surface, deeper than the ocean's heart, with veins of crimson that pulsed like forbidden blood. Elias held it up, squinting. It was heavier than it looked, cool against his sweat-slick palm. A diamond. The word flickered in his mind, half remembered from tavern tales spun by merchants flush with coin. But to Elias, it was just a pretty bauble, useless, heavy, and in the way of his daily grind. He pocketed it without a second thought, finishing his quota of clay under the gathering dusk. That evening, as he trudged home to his thatched hovel on the edge of the slums, the gem weighed on him like an unspoken regret. His wife, Mira, stirred a thin stew over a meager fire when he arrived. She was a woman of sharp eyes and sharper silences, her youth stolen by years of scraping by. "Another long day?" she asked, not looking up. "Aye," Elias grunted, collapsing onto a stool. The diamond tumbled from his pocket onto the dirt floor, rolling to a stop near the hearth. Myra's spoon paused mid-stir. She scooped it up, turning it in the firelight. The flames licked its facets, igniting a spectrum that painted the walls in ethereal hues. "Elias, what is this?" "Some rock from the pit. Thought it might fetch a copper or two at market tomorrow." He shrugged, already eyeing the stew. Myra's fingers tightened around it. In her youth, before poverty had dulled her hopes, she had dreamed of jewels, not for vanity, but for escape. "This isn't just any rock. It's valuable. Take it to the jeweler in the square. Old Harlan, he'll know." Elias waved her off. "Harlan's a shark. Charges an arm for a glance. I'll sell it to the dirt merchant for whatever he offers. End of day." But Myra's plea lingered like smoke. The next morning, against his better judgment, Elias found himself in the town's market square, the diamond wrapped in a rag and tucked under his arm. The air buzzed with haggling voices, fishmongers barking prices, weavers flaunting silks dyed in impossible colors, and children darting like minnows through the crowd. Harlan's stall was a fortress of velvet and glass, gems winking from every shelf like captured stars. The old jeweler, with his hawkish nose and fingers like spider legs, peered at Elias over half-moon spectacles. "What trinket brings a digger like you to my door?" Elias unwrapped the diamond, placing it on the counter with the thud of finality. Harlan's eyes widened, then narrowed to slits. He snatched it up, holding it to the light. The market's clamor faded as he examined it, turning, tilting, breathing fog onto its surface to test for flaws. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Finally, he set it down. A fine piece. Rough cut, but pure. Worth a silver talent, perhaps. Elias blinked. A silver talent. That was a year's wages, enough for a proper roof, seed for a field, maybe even passage to the coastal cities where tales spoke of endless opportunity. His mouth went dry. "I'll take it." Harlan chuckled, a dry rasp like sand on stone. "Eager, are we? But business is business. I offer 8 coppers for the lot." The words hit Elias like a slap. 8 coppers. For that? You said silver. "Aye, to a fool buyer. To me, it's raw material. Cutting it, polishing, costs time and tools. 8 coppers, or nothing." Rage boiled in Elias's chest. He snatched the diamond back, storming from the stall without a word. The market spun around him, colors blurring into a taunt. How dare Harlan? The man swam in wealth, his stall a hoard of treasures, yet he haggled like a beggar over crumbs. Elias's stinginess, born of survival, had met its match in Harlan's greed. He wandered the square, the gem burning a hole in his pocket, until he spotted a traveling merchant from the east. The man's cart overflowed with spices and silks, his eyes sharp as a falcon's. You there, digger? Got something shiny to trade? The merchant called, his accent a melody of distant sands. Elias hesitated, then pulled out the diamond. The merchant's face lit up, not with calculation, but genuine awe. By the stars, a king's ransom in your hand. He examined it briefly, then met Elias's gaze. I'll give you a gold sovereign. No more words. A gold sovereign. More than Harlan's silver dream. Elias nodded, numb, and watched the coin exchange hands. The merchant wrapped the gem reverently, vanishing into the crowd like a genie reclaimed. That night, Elias returned home heavier than before. Mira waited, her eyes searching his face. He tossed the sovereign onto the table, it spun like a top before settling. Sold it. To a trader. Her smile faltered. How much? Gold. 1 sovereign. Joy erupted, Mira laughed, pulling him into an embrace. They feasted that night on bread thick with cheese, wine from a dusty bottle long saved. Plans spilled forth. A small plot of land, tools for a trade, perhaps a dowry for their niece in the village. For the first time, the future gleamed brighter than the diamond ever had. But as the fire died to embers, doubt crept in. Elias lay awake, staring at the rafters. The sovereign was real, warm in his fist, yet it felt hollow. What if Harlan had been right? What if the gem held secrets only a master could unlock? Whispers from the market haunted him, tales of diamonds that birthed empires, of stones that cursed their keepers with endless want. Had he thrown away a fortune for a pittance? Or had he seized the moment, turning dirt into destiny? Word of the sale spread like wildfire through the town. Harlan, hearing of the fool's bargain, fumed in his stall. He had seen the diamond's potential, a flawless core worth 10 sovereigns to the right noble. His greed had blinded him, haggling over fractions when the whole was a miracle. In his rage, he smashed a lesser gem, shards scattering like his shattered pride. That digger, he muttered to no one, stumbled on fate and tripped over it. Months passed. Elias and Myra's life bloomed. The sovereign bought a sturdy cottage with a garden that yielded potatoes fat as fists and herbs that scented the air. Elias left the quarry, apprenticing under a potter whose wheels spun clay into beauty. Mira wove baskets from river reeds, her fingers nimble with newfound hope. Their home became a beacon, neighbors gathering for stories by the hearth, sharing bread and laughter. Yet the diamond's shadow lingered. One crisp autumn eve, a royal envoy rode into town, his cloak emblazoned with the king's crest. Whispers flew. The crown sought a gem for the queen's tiara, one to eclipse the stars. Harlan, desperate to redeem his folly, boasted of a lost treasure, unearthed nearby. The envoy listened, then demanded the stone. It's gone, Harlan admitted, voice cracking. Sold to a wanderer months ago. The envoy's eyes narrowed. Describe it. As Harlan spoke, of the fire in its depths, the weight of untold wealth, the envoy's face paled. That was the Koh-i-Noor, the mountain of light. Stolen from our vaults years past, lost in these very hills. The town gasped. Legends swirled of the diamond's curse, dooming misers to poverty, rewarding the bold with grace. Panic seized Harlan. He raced to Elias's door, pounding like thunder. The gem. Where is the merchant? I must have it back. Elias opened the door, calm as the river. Gone to the seas, they say. Why? It's the king's. A fortune beyond reckoning. Mira appeared behind him, arms crossed. And what would you pay now, Harlan? 10 sovereigns. 100. The jeweler stammered, pride crumbling. Whatever it takes. I was wrong. Elias closed the door softly. Inside, he turned to Mira. Let the king chase shadows. We've our light. In the years that followed, Elias became a storyteller himself, his tale of the diamond weaving through the town's lore. Children gathered at his knee, wide-eyed, as he spun the moral. Opportunity knocks not with fanfare, but in the dirt of daily life. Stinginess is a thief in disguise, stealing not just coin, but the chance to soar. And the greatest wealth, seizing the now, before hindsight turns it to regret. Harlan faded into obscurity, his stall shuttered, a cautionary ghost. The diamond, it turned out, resurfaced in a distant court, adorning a scepter that toppled thrones. But its true legacy lived in Elias's garden, vines heavy with fruit, laughter echoing like prisms in the sun. For in the end, the diamond wasn't the treasure. It was the choice, to hoard the moment or let it slip, a fleeting sparkle in the vast quarry of existence.